Week is themed around your first multi-page project. So that means I need to show you how to configure a root with multiple pages, okay? And that will be a majority of the day today. I will do my best to check y'all like I did with fourth period, but keep in mind that fourth period is half the size as your class. So we're going to do the best we can getting through multi-page projects, and then we'll talk about project number 2 here in just a second, okay? So the theme, as a reminder, we have no school this Friday the 13th, and I am absent Tuesday through the rest of the week. So this is my last day with y'all until next week, all right? So please be good for the sub, for your classmates, and for our classroom folks. In your class, it is Jake and Miss Cameron. Jake is the TA, Miss Cameron is our assistant, and we're all working on multi-page sites this week, okay? Your daily tasks, I'm going to show you how to use the anchor tag for multiple pages, and I want you to start thinking about what kind of content you want to add for your project number 2, okay? By the end of this project, you get a multi-page site. Ooh, I'm going to just turn that off, project a little bit. Okay, you get a multi-page site, as well as demonstrating the stuff that you are an expert in related to your exit or your entry task. There's some time to practice using flexboxes. You get practice with layouts. All strong web design skills that, again, we're going to be using all throughout the semester, but we have to start at some point, right? Your project number 2 is due next Thursday, so not this Thursday, the next one, when I will have a chance to help you catch up or to, hi, welcome in, help you answer any questions you might have that don't get answered while I'm gone. Let me see. Yeah, she's here. So that's due next Thursday, so you have a chance to finish it up. The methods of completing this project are different Canvas resources, remembering that you want to make your site functional and then pretty. So function first, form second. Collaborate with each other, collaborate with your various educators in the room, apply different past lessons that you've done so far. And I want you to think about how these skills will snowball, right? All the stuff that I'm teaching you relates to each other in some way. So the pieces get stuck together, the snowball grows and grows as you spend more time rolling it, right? And you know you're getting it by the end of today by definitely understanding multi-page sites with the anchor tag, and we'll get to seeing how you arrange your elements probably when I get back. That's a little bit more about the getting it for the whole project instead of getting it for today. You will know you're able to apply it by adding new pages to your root, project number 2, and by the end of the project, you'll have communicated your info in an effective way, okay? So let's talk first about what is project number 2. Which can be found right here on your homepage. Project number 2 is a DIY wiki page. You get to create a wiki on whatever you want to create with a couple different requirements, okay? The do-it-yourself Wikipedia page. I will add a rubric a little bit later. You can see that it's definitely going to be worth more than 0 points, but I want to show you exactly how you earn your points so you know what to include on your site, okay? So by next Thursday, the 19th, create a multi-page Wikipedia on any topic of your choice. Your first requirement is you need to have at least 3 pages using the anchor tag. That's what I'm going to show you today, and that's what I want you to review in today's video. Here's some ideas of how you could set up your wiki. These are not requirements. You do not have to do them like this. These are just a couple ideas to get you started, okay? If you're choosing an artist, a visual artist, a musical artist, a performance artist, or you're choosing somebody like a Twitch streamer, YouTuber, other influencer, how you could lay your site out is a homepage, history on the specific creator, and a gallery of their work. If you're creating something like a game wiki, like for Pokemon, or I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire 2, that's another one where there's a lot of communications. You can have a homepage, you could have community, like forum style posting, like Reddit or like the Steam pages, and you can have specific strategies so that you can share your thoughts and opinions with other players of the same game. If you're creating something for like a movie or a TV show, you could have your homepage to start off. You could have a Hall of Fame or like a cast sort of section relating to or talking about who's in that piece of media and what else they're in. And then you can also provide further recommendations based on whether or not people like the show or movie that you're talking about. Okay? And then there's a couple other ones. Again, these are just ideas to help you get started. You do not have to follow these exact ones. Okay? You also need to have at least 10 images related to your topic. They can be from the internet or local, ones that you've taken and uploaded, or at least saved to your root folder, as long as there are 10 across the 3 pages. So if you have 2 with 3 and 1 with 4, you'll have everything you need for that requirement. And then something I'm going to definitely touch on when I'm back next week is sectioning your web page to have at least one flex box with at least 3 flex children. I would recommend a general flex container with sections, asides, and a navigation bar. Can be your 3 semantic tags, and they can be all flex items of one big flex box so that the pieces look nice related to one another. 5th period, you have Jake for ideas and help, and Miss Cameron as well. I need to add her to the P5 right here. And then I'm going to say this a lot today. I'll be back next week, and I can help you more then. Okay? So first things first, we need to create a new root for project number 2. And we do that inside of our file folder, or inside of our file explorer. Okay? I have just gone to my OneDrive right here, my Benjamin, Issaquah, Wednet, etc., and we're going to create a new root just like we did for assignment number 4. Okay? By going up here to New, Folder, and remember my preferred naming scheme includes some data that you can copy, but you want to find a naming scheme that works well for you. At a minimum, it should have your name. Okay? Mine is going to have date, name, and specific project. So we're going to start with the date. I like to start with the year because it groups all my different work into the specific year. So I do 2026 period, and then I do month day, so 0309. And then I put a dash or a hyphen, then my name, Blakeney, and then one more dash, and we're going to call this project 2 so that it's a little bit different from 4th periods, okay? So now when I go back to look at my work in my OneDrive, I know exactly when I made this, who made it, and what it is. So you don't have a bunch of untitled document 456 like I've seen in some of y'all's OneDrive. So this helps it start getting organized. It's a big skill, especially in web design. Okay, so we have our root created here with date, name, and specific project. Double click to go inside of that root, and we're going to add our all lowercase public. This is in case you want to have any type of local images or any type of local specific things. New, folder, we're going to call it public, all lowercase. Okay? The next step that we need to do is get that folder open in VS Code. A lot of you probably have your assignment 4 folders open in VS Code. We're going to open up this new one that we've just created. And that's going to be the first thing that I check for, that you have your folder opened up in VS Code. Okay? So you can see what I've got from 4th period's example. For you, you're going to want to go to File and then Open Folder. If you're seeing a big blue Open Folder button right here, that works. But in case you're not, you can always find it by going File and then Open Folder. Okay? This is going to open up my OneDrive because that's the last place I had something pulled up from VS Code. And I'm going to look for that folder that I just created. So I know I made it today on the 9th of March. There's 2026-0309, Blakeney project number 2. And I know yours is project number 2 because you are in 5th period and that's 4th periods. I'm going to click on my root folder one time. And then I'm going to click on my select folder right down here. That's going to open it up in VS Code. It might ask you if you trust the authors. We do because we are the authors. You might have set it to automatically trust all authors in the OneDrive, so you might see this, you might not. But generally speaking, because we are the authors, yes, we trust us because we are the people who are making the page, right? Okay, that's the first thing I want to check for. So I want to see if you're able. First, you need to make your root, then open your root in VS Code. After that, after I make sure everybody's got that, I'll show you how to link these pages together, and then you can kind of start to think about what you want. Okay, so let's log back in. I want to show you how you can get the 3-page minimum put together right now, and it's through the use of the anchor tag, okay? Now that I've checked that everybody has the correct root open, or at least the root that they're going to be working in for this project, what we're going to do is create 3 HTML files inside of the big space right here. So in order to make sure you have the right one selected, left click with your index finger inside of the root or the project that you opened up so that you see this thin outline around the outside, okay? A quick way to create HTML files, if you don't want to go through the new file, select language, yada yada, the quick way is to right click with your middle finger and then click on this new file button right here at the top, okay? We're going to do this 2 more times, but there are 2 different names that I want you to use, okay? The home page, the first one that loads, the main page of your wiki, is always going to be called index, but in order for it to be an HTML file, we need to have that .html extension on the end of it, like that. You see how it turns into our little HTML icon inside of our project number 2 root. Okay? I'm going to do that 2 more times so you can see it in action for page 2 and page 3. Those are the exact names I'm going to use. All lowercase, no spaces. And then I want to make sure that I include the .html at the end. This is like a shortcut version for time. Okay? Right-click, new file. Call it page2.html. Then we're going to repeat that one more time. Right-click, new file, except this one's going to be page3.html. Okay, and what we've got here, if you look across the top, if you haven't seen this yet, VS Code works in tabs, just like your browser does. All right? So, by creating all 3 of these files, and by clicking across the different tabs, you're going to see them highlighted inside of the root right here. Or inside of the Explorer over yonder. Okay? What we need to do is get all 3 of these pages talking to each other so that we don't accidentally strand our users on a deserted island. We want to be able to have our users find our way around each page of the wiki, and then how you arrange the content on each pages of those wikis is the completion of the project. Okay? So, like always, we need to start with our HTML declaration by going Shift, HTML, Shift period, and then hitting Enter. And because we've configured that correctly on our index page, you can just highlight it and copy and paste it across page 2 and page 3. Okay? So I'm going to highlight all this, Control C, click on page 2, Control V, click on page 3, Control V. Now when I go to my 3 pages, all 3 of them have the HTML bucket that they need. Okay? And again, I apologize. I know I'm going fast. You'll have to watch the video to recover or ask me questions while I'm here today. So don't panic. By setting these 3 pages as HTML pages, we're now able to link them to each other the same way that you link a local image out of the public folder to an SRC. Except we're not using images, we're using anchors. Okay? And anchor tags, also called links, are going to be the main thing that gets us around across our pages. Okay? So, a quick way that you can type tags that you have the label memorized for is to type the letter of the tag, like anchor, and then hit the enter key. And now what that does is it automatically adds your 2 slices of bread. You just need to put the ingredients or any type of attributes that you want to have on your sandwiches. Okay? For our hrefs, for these anchors, they're going to be the exact file name, and it has to be exact, of the other 2 pages. Okay? We're going to start with page. If you type out the word page, you're going to see page 2 and 3 pop up on the suggestion because it's all in the same root. If you're not seeing it pop up, it might be in a different folder. I'll check for that in a second round here in just a second. Okay? So we're going to go anchor href, hypertext reference, to page 2, HTML. And the last thing we need in order for this sandwich to be complete is some content. We need some ingredients between our bread, between our anchor breads. Okay? You want your user to easily understand how to get around your site. Think about like on a crosswalk, you know what to do because it's a standard, right? The button is always generally in the same spot. It always generally does the same thing. You want to think about that for your navigation as well. We're just going to call this very simply the name of the page, and then you can change the name later after you put some content on there. Okay? I'm going to repeat that whole process for page number 3, and that's going to allow us to access pages 2 and 3 from our index. Okay? So enter is going to automatically give me my href and equals with quotes and an end tag. So I have my slices of bread here. We're going to call this one page3.html. And then inside of the ingredients section, inside of the content section, I'm going to call it page 3, not 23. That'd be a lot of pages. Okay? And this at the top of our page is going to serve as the top of our site is going to serve as our navigation. Okay? It's going to be our way to get around. What you're going to find, though, if I run this code, and it's okay if you're still typing out these pieces, I want to show you what happens when we accidentally strand our users on a desert island. Okay? So if I run my index page, it's got really nothing on it at the moment. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. It's got nothing on it except 2 links to page 2 and page 3. If I click on page 2, it's going to take us to page 2, but now we have no way to get back because we forgot to add navigation on each and every page. And the way I'm showing you now is the long way. The way I'll show you later is the faster way. But for now, knowing the long way helps you fix the faster way. Okay? So, we're going to copy and paste these two anchors across all three of our pages, like this. Control V, and now all three of our pages are going to look exactly the same. Okay? In order to be able to tell the difference between our pages, I'm just going to add a heading level 1 and name each page. So starting on the index, H1 enter. That's going to give me my H1 start and end tags automatically. Type out the word index. Repeat that for page 2. H1 enter. Page 2. And then go to page 3. H1 enter. Page 3. Okay? Save that. And when I go to run and debug, you'll be able to see what page we're on. And because we have navigation across all the pages, I can really freely switch between page 2 and page 3, and I'm no longer stranded on a desert island. Okay? So this will be the first thing I want to check for. I'll have one more thing to check for by the end of the period, and then you'll have your project 2 set up to start adding wiki pages to your site for number 3. Okay? That's a majority of what you're working on this week while I'm gone. I will be able to answer some Canvas messages, but keep in mind I'm on a field trip, so I'm going to be a little bit busy. I will do the best I can from there. You have all my previous resources that I'll show you a little bit later. Okay? So let's go back to the home page and look at that. Okay. What I'm going to check for is your... Hey, y'all are being troopers. Thank you. This is the last thing I need to show you. And then you can start figuring out what kind of stuff you want to put on your wiki, as well as we'll wrap up the PowerPoint, okay? Talking about why we're doing this. Some of you may have noticed that once you go to page 2 and 3, you can't get back to the index page, okay? That's normal because we haven't added some redundancy. Anybody heard that word before? Probably not. That's okay. No worries. We haven't added any backups, or we haven't added any repeats that allow us to get back to the index page. And it seems a little backwards to add a link to a page you're already on, but because we want that consistent standard, like you see when you are crossing a crosswalk, right? You want to be able to access every page from every other page. And you do that really simply by, if you're looking at the screen share, going to the top of your stack order, right? Because we want to put it before the other pages, hitting enter, and we're going to type a new anchor for the index page across all 3 pages. So, A enter. Inside of the A enter, on the high ref, we're going to put index.html. And that was on page 3. I'm going to do it from page 2. Click at the top of my stack order. A enter. Index.html. Inside of the hypertext reference. And then top of my stack order. Enter. A enter. Index.html. What I've forgotten is to add content on each of these pages. So I have a completed anchor tag. It's got the href, it's got the correct file, it's got the correct start and end, but it has no content. It's a sandwich with no ingredients. We got bread sandwiches for our index page, okay? Just like with page 2 and 3, you want it to be easy to understand for your user exactly what page you're on. Just like you want it to be easy for your computer to understand which page to grab, okay? So we're just going to go through and type index. And then in the content section, index again. And then in the content section, one more time, index again. You can also call this home. You can also call this main. You can also call this page 1. The content part is whatever you want to put there as the developer. The functional part, like the high ref, has to match your file system. Okay? So when you're writing code for a computer, it's got to be literal. When you're writing code for a human, it's got to be easy to understand. Does that make sense? When I save all my pages by going and clicking on them, Control S, Control S, Control S, let me pretend like I haven't been debugging. When I go to run and debug, you're going to see now an index link is in the front because it's the order of how my pages load. Okay? Kind of like how when authors are laying out books, they lay out the early chapters first and the more advanced chapters later. We're doing the same thing with our index and our page 2 and 3. Okay? So now when I click on the index page, nothing happens because we're already there. It just reloads it. And because the only thing that's on there is some text, it reloads pretty fast. Now if I go to page 2 and page 3, I can get all the way back to my index page and go to all of my work that I have available here. Okay? So we have our index homepage, we have our page number 2, and we have our page number 3. all of which are available. Let me set it to all to 100% so you can see the change a little bit more easily. Okay. And now if I'm reading page 3 and I want to go back to the home page, I can just click on the home page. If I'm reading page 2 and I'm ready to move on to page 3, I can do that. I, as the user, can figure out how I want to read your personal wiki pages, which is why I want to show you this last part. Okay. And again, I know I'm going fast today, so thank y'all for bearing with it and for keeping up. Okay. So to reiterate, you can track your progress. You know you're getting it today because you understand how these multi-page sites come together with the anchor tag. All right. This is how all the different pages that we use day to day, whether that's your banking app, whether that's how you order your food for lunch, whether that's how you sign up for Flex, check Canvas on your phone. It's all these collections at a simple level of multiple HTML files linked together, just like the way I've shown you. Okay. This is more for the end of the project, seeing how your elements can be arranged on the page. I don't expect you to have it done today, obviously, but what I want you to think about, like if any of you have taken art classes, the more you practice art forms, the more you can see those art forms in more detail, right? You can see how these things came together. Like, for example, I'm a photographer. So before I was a photographer, I just thought pictures were cool. Now that I have experience, I can see maybe how they came together, okay? You can start to do that same thing for web design, and if you're not there yet, that's okay. That's what a lot of this class is about. So you don't have to have it done today. Just see where the pieces could go. Imagine them, right? And you can start applying this code, as I've been checking, by adding new pages to your routes, and by the end of the project, you'll have your information communicated in an effective way. Why are we doing this? Like I mentioned, understanding how these multi-page links work furthers your web design skills. A lot of what this course teaches you builds on previous lessons. So the stuff we've done is going to be influential to the stuff we do next, because I want your skills to snowball. I want them to all collect up. I want them to all keep moving forward. As you pick up more skills, your websites get larger and larger and more advanced, okay? Also, by writing your own wiki, you can communicate something that you care about. Maybe you feel like it's not an actual Wikipedia article. You have a chance to write the start of one in a project like this. Maybe there's something that people aren't talking about that you would like them to talk about. Web design is the web is a platform in order to communicate those ideas. You can communicate something that is important to you or that you care about. Then the other good part is by sharing your own wiki, everyone in class is going to benefit from the increased knowledge. I'm really excited to learn from y'all based on what you put on your Wikipedia pages, okay? Also, because you're choosing you're choosing the content that goes on your site, it makes the project easier to complete because you like the topic. If I told you to just write a web design manual, that'd be a pretty boring project. However, if you create your own wiki with your own personal flair and your own personal writing voice, you get to have a little bit more fun with it because it's your project. Okay? And then just to reiterate, I'm gone this week. So instead of teaching you a bunch of new stuff, I want you to practice what we've already done, plus a couple new things in new ways. Is going to show you how you can start snowballing those web design lessons, show you how these pieces work together. Okay? I know that was a lot today, so I highly recommend you come back and watch this video during your work times this week. Again, I'm not here all this week. We have 10 minutes left, okay? The last thing I need you to do today, after you save your routes, make sure you Control S on all of your pages so you don't lose this and you have something to work on while the subs are in here. What I want to know for your exit task is, what will you write your DIY wiki page about? What is the theme of your project number 2? What are you going to be focusing on putting on your 3 minimum pages for this project that I've just shown you here? Okay? Okay, everybody take a deep breath. That was a lot. It's a lot of content and not a lot of time. So thank y'all for keeping up. You did great.